let's go ahead and move on to the next area, detection, the detect piece. So you've gone through, you identify all the potential risks. You've talked about some of the things you had to do there. You talked about now some of the measures for protecting them. But when it comes to the detection, tell us why you need detection and how you're managing that function, that part of the framework.
All right, so one of my absolute favorite quotes is from Dr. Eric Cole and from the SANS Institute, and he says, protection is ideal, but detection is a must. Detection is really where all the fun happens. We've identified all of our components and all of the protections that we've put in place, but we know we'll never be 100% protected. We can't control what users click on. We can't control what vulnerabilities have been discovered on our web servers or on our firewall or in our VPNs. So it's really having the ability to collect those logs, as well as having a function to fire off alerts to let us know when something abnormal has happened. And managed methods has been huge in that. We have a student that we got notified the account had been accessed from outside the United States and their account had been disabled. So that was a policy I had set up during the initial, deployment of managed methods. I was like, there is no good reason why anyone outside the US needs to be logging into any of my Google accounts or services, period. Well, it turns out this particular student was living in Puerto Rico, had enrolled in school, and because of COVID, hadn't had the opportunity to make it back home yet. So this is, it was definitely a false positive, kind of. It really was outside the US. Managed methods did exactly what I was hoping it would do. But in this one particular case, it was really a legitimate user needing access. Managed methods also makes it pretty easy to modify those blocks. So I was able to add Puerto Rico while keeping the rest of non-continental US blocked out.
So that's pretty interesting. So you know, this is an example of where COVID has certainly changed sometimes the way we have to look at things. But what you're saying is it worked. The system did what it was supposed to do. Managed methods followed the guideline here, but there's a good example of testing it. You know, you had a student that you didn't even know about that was elsewhere. So yeah, that's thanks for sharing that. That's an interesting one for sure. And we're glad we helped you with that, but it shows that it was working. So you talked about some resources earlier. I think a monthly email list put out by CERT. So that's a crucial component too. You enlist in terms of your detection strategies and understanding things?
Yes, it is. So that list it's an email list you can sign up for. CISA has since absorbed US CERT, brought them all under a single umbrella. But with that list, like I said, that list is, weekly updates to new vulnerabilities discovered in software. And it is a very extensive list. And what I find valuable the most from that list is not all of your vendors are very forthcoming that they have vulnerable pieces or components in their software. But if it's been discovered and reported, then it's on that CERT list. So now you know that, which version of VNC needs to be updated, or which version of Flash Player has to be upgraded as well. So it breaks all of those components down for you.
Got it. Well, that's a good resource to have. So note to everyone out there, the CERT. So, when you and I have talked before, you shared some different things that you've done in this environment. Can you walk us through an example of how one of these detection, processes works? You had shared with me prior your concept of top talkers, that kind of thing. So could you kind of elaborate a little bit more on?
Sure, absolutely. So my process or approach there is, when you're looking at network utilization, you're always looking at your top talkers, your top 5 or 10, and they're fairly consistent over time. They might fluctuate in position from 1 to 10 or 1 to 5, however you're looking at it, but very rarely will one of those get bumped out completely and drop down to 15. I look at, as well as my low talkers, my lowest 5 to 10 devices on the network. When I see one of those devices suddenly rocket up out of the last position, that to me is an indicator that something's not right. Because if historically they're not talking much and all of a sudden they're talking a lot more, there's something wrong there. There's either somebody in that device or it's starting to fail, or something that you absolutely need to go look at.